Everybody had a great Thanksgiving? Tired of turkey now? Try dog food. Eat your own dog food. It's another way of saying practice what you preach, or put your money where your mouth is. Now, where did this post-conventional wisdom come from? Like dog food itself, its origins and precise composition are not entirely clear. But theories abound. Some give credit for eating your own dog food to Gordon Bell, a senior researcher at Microsoft. The expression, Bell explains, refers to a company's using its software programs or products in their early stages, even if the process is somewhat disagreeable, as a way of testing them to improve quality. We have to eat our own dog food to see if we get sick. Find out how it tastes, he adds. Others point to John Rock, the former manager of GM's Oldsmobile division, who was quoted as saying, "We knew we would hit rock bottom in '97, and we would find out whether the dogs would eat the dog food in '98. Still others have used the phrase to suggest that someone has an intimate knowledge of what they're selling, like a dog food salesman who is also so taken with his product's quality that he has sampled it himself. You all recognize that, that's pedigree. You slop that on won't even go down. Let's see this. Eat your own dog food. You are so believing in your product that you will do such things as slopping down a spoonful of dog food. Oh, you need to wash that down. Oh, let's see if I get sick. If not, this is a good brand. Pedigree. We live in a Darwinian dog-eat-dog world where only the hungry succeed. It was no different in the canine culture of Jesus' day. Political realities made people hungry for the truth, or at least their perception of it. As in our time when truth often matters less than political expediency, people were barking and biting on the day Jesus stood before Pilate, brought there by fellow Jews who have had enough of this self-styled prophet and teacher, unmasking people for who they really are, and yet claiming them for God just the same as if God was on their side. In today's text, it's not Jesus, but Pilate who raises the philosophical question, what is truth? He knows what the truth is. He's just loath to acknowledge it. It isn't politically advisable to release Jesus, what with a raging, riot-sized mob at his gate demanding death. Pilate clearly recognizes how to protect his own doghouse, how to guard his own backyard. He knows and believes his own truth. The truth is, Jesus hasn't done anything against Roman law. Pilate, who's no simpleton, knows this. "Are you king of the Jews?" he asked Jesus. One particular answer, wrong answer, would be treason. There is only one monarch in the Roman Empire, and that is the emperor enthroned in Rome. Anyone claiming to be a king is asking for the death sentence. My kingdom is not from this world, Jesus answered. If my kingdom were from this world, my followers would be fighting to keep me from being handed over to the Jews. But as it is, my kingdom is not from here. Jesus was no simpleton either, and wasn't going to bite on Pilate's trick question, if you will. But he did give Pilate an opening by claiming that my kingdom is not from here. So you are a king? Pilate asked him, feeling good about himself, thinking that he had nailed down Jesus. Pilate knows that he is in a political jam. He smells what's in the wind, and he's not about to eat his own dog food. He'll leave that meal to Jesus. Eating his own dog food would mean setting Jesus free, resisting the clamor of the horde, maybe causing some sort of spontaneous uprising, something to be avoided at any cost, which ironically was one of the worries of the temple leaders about Jesus himself. Leaders who now use the possibility of an uprising to their own advantage. Politics, everything is politics. Even if an uprising didn't get unleashed, the temple alpha wolf circles Pilate with a not-so-subtle threat to tattletale to Rome. The pack barks at him. In John 19:12 we read, "If you release this man, you are no friend of the emperor." Everyone who claims to be a king sets himself against the emperor. Pilate is forced to choose between a king in Rome or the king who stood before him now. Pilate knows the truth, but he also knows, politically at least, that it's best to let big sleeping dogs lie, especially when you're a mid-sized dog chained to the emperor's doghouse. Like Pilate, we know the truth about Jesus, yet the truth we know about him isn't the truth Pilate knows. Pilate knows Jesus is innocent of any crime. Pilate also knows who fills his dinner dish, who pours his gravy, and who holds his leash. He chooses his master, and we choose ours. Since we know Jesus is the Christ. So we choose Christ. What does it mean then for a Christian to eat his own dog food? Often enough, it means being true to Christ and true to ourselves. In simplest terms, it means putting faith into action, avoiding hypocrisy, loving our enemies, stressing integrity and quality, being truthful and honest, nourishing ourselves on foundational beliefs, and developing an intimate knowledge of what and who we're selling. It means that the twin rails of faith and praxis run parallel, ensuring that when the truth train leaves the station, it won't immediately tumble off the tracks. Charles Moore wrote an article, The Powerful Witness of Community, about his friendship with Alan when both were students at Cal Poly Pomona. I'll let him tell the story. Alan and I met 20 years ago. We were both students at Cal Poly. I was a freshman and he was a junior. As a physics major, Alan was both intelligent and articulate. How Alan got on with his studies, however, is still a mystery to me. Alan was virtually blind. He could see well enough to get from one place to another all right, but when it came to reading, it was a different story. I can still see Alan, his face 2 inches away from some text, arduously pecking away at each of his assignments. Alan not only got straight A's, but he later returned to Cal Poly as a physics instructor. Boy, that dog food really stays in your mouth. Although Jewish in background, Alan was extremely skeptical of anything religious, especially Christian. He was well-read and well-versed, and he argued his doubt like a scientist. Alan believed that Christianity was unable to pass the requirements of science, the very methodological requirements of science. He therefore pled agnostic. There simply wasn't enough evidence to warrant belief in God. As a fledgling freshman, I, along with several others, tried to show him how, in fact, there was ample evidence for Christianity's truth. There were not only the facts of fulfilled prophecy and the reliability of the New Testament documents, but also the testimony of creation. Wasn't that sufficient? Not for Alan. Alan was usually happy to discuss religious subjects, which always gave us Christians some hope. But even more intriguing was how he liked to hang out with us. Alan didn't have many friends. He was rather unattractive, much too serious, and totally dependent on others for any kind of transportation. But we tried to reach out to him as best as we could. Alan knew he could come with us to the beach or on our recurrent midnight runs to Taco Bell. We tried to include Alan in anything we were doing. One evening, something happened. Though I wasn't there at the time, a bunch of friends had gotten together for a praise night in Huntington Beach. Alan came along to enjoy the sunset and roaring bonfire. By the time the evening was over, Alan had made a commitment to follow Jesus. No one had spoken to him, nor did anyone even know. The next day he came to me to tell me what had happened. "But Alan," I said, "what made you decide?" "You see, Chuck," he told me, "it came to me last night while everyone was singing around the fire that whenever I am around you Christians, I am happy. Even when we disagree with each other, I find myself liking to be with Christians." "But Alan, I thought you were never going to become a believer unless there was first enough evidence." "Yes, Chuck," he replied, "and I still require it. But that's precisely why I now believe. It's how you all love each other that strikes me most. I never considered that evidence before. A good scientist, considers all the facts. I simply haven't found the love you Christians have for each other anywhere else. That's evidence enough for me that Jesus is Lord. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. To know God, my brothers and sisters, we must choose to live God, to practice the presence of God. And to know faith, we must live faith. To do that, we have to understand what it is to believe and what it is we do believe, which is why it is so important to gather on Sunday mornings, to gather in small groups, like the upcoming Advent study series that's going to be meeting on Thursday mornings. And they will be studying Mike Slaughter's book, Christmas is Not Your Birthday. And it will be led by John Evans. That's why it is so important to be involved in mission work teams and in a variety of other opportunities to consume the Word, to gather together in fellowship, to drink the water of life from the same bowl. In short, to eat our own dog food. Dogs can't be fooled the way people can. A dog senses fear. A dog hears what we can't hear, smells what we can't smell. A dog might eat anything and roll in dead fish, believing it is perfume, but a dog will never trust a person or a group of people or a church of people who prove untrustworthy, who prove hypocritical and insincere. Champion Christians adhere to the truth unflinchingly. They eat their own dog food. Forget turkey casserole. Bon appetit.